Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hint.
I'm Janelle Pizarro.
And I'm Frederick Philip von Weiss, and thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology that love what they do.
Do tech good.
Whoop, whoop, that's us on the double lease. Welcome to the show, everybody. So glad to have you here. Want to say, if you can, please go to the old YouTube and subscribe. That would mean a lot. Turn those notifications on. Also, go to the old YouTubes. Kick a few stars our way, like us, write a nice little review. Even one sentence would be great. And speaking of a one-sentence review, I believe Brian is going to read a wonderful review.
Yes, I am. It's titled Super Fun Show, and I'm worse than Frederick at names. Andy Vitelli said it and sent the review in. It says, no, not only did I have a blast being on the show, but I really enjoy being a listener as well. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you so much, Andy. And that's a great episode. We'll put a link to Andy's show on the show notes down below.
Speaking of show.
Oh, what about a show, Brian? Are we going to be somewhere?
I don't know. Janelle, are we?
Yes, we're totally going to be somewhere. We're going to be at an event apart. Thank you so much for that segue. I appreciate that. We're going to be live at an event apart Orlando, which is where I'm from, y'all. We'll be interviewing some of the speakers and talking to guests at the conference. And we have a special, awesome little coupon code, if you will, for you, our listeners, right? So you're using AEA Nerds, and that's for $100 off any 2 or 3 day pass.
$100.
That's pretty good.
$100.
As Brian said, that's nothing to laugh at. Ha ha ha. And we're going to be there from October 8th, 9th, and 10th, all 3 days of the conference. So come by, give us love, give Brian a big hug. He loves hugs. And we'll talk to you, and we're going to have you live on the show too. How about that? So without any further ado, let's go ahead and welcome our guest. We have a very interesting gentleman. Let's read these listings of all the cool, nifty things he does. He is a code whisperer, experienced product engineer, speaker, senior technical expert, Jamison Dance. Welcome to the show.
Hey there. Thanks for having me. It used to be code laborer, but I feel like code whisperer was more respectful.
Special.
Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah,
great
we're
to
so happy to have you. Where are you joining us from today, Jamison?
I am in beautiful San Bruno, California, in a hotel room. You can tell I didn't choose this artwork or that couch.
It chose you. That's what you're saying.
That's true. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Can you tell us why you're in Cali today?
Yeah, so I work for Walmart Labs. I work for a completely remote team, but every...
You guys lose the signal?
Yeah, I can't hear you, Jamison.
So y'all come no.
Maybe actually kill the video, unfortunately, but then the audio will come through better.
Actually, if you go up to the top where the settings are, and you see that little icon, there's or not the icon, but the little, the bandwidth icon. Choose, instead of audio, just choose like low bandwidth.
The bandwidth icon.
Or a video.
This is,
sure.
Live troubleshooting. Folks.
At the top, there's 5
Frederick.
icons, and next to the camera, there's one for bandwidth.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Do you want me to drop the video?
Yeah, well, not drop the video, just put it to low bandwidth.
No, we want to see your face.
Dr.
Well, that
F.
way we'll still see your face with the low bandwidth.
Yeah.
But let's go back to what we were talking about. So you're joining us from California because...
Yep. I work for Walmart Labs on a completely distributed team. So we get together every couple of months for in-person times, and then we go back to all our houses and do work things. So just a week of meetings and hanging out and getting to know people in person that we know just only through Slack. And I think today is our last day. We'll go home tomorrow.
Nice. That's cool. That's nice to be able to see the team.
Yeah, it's really good. We had 3 new people join us today. So it's fun that they start the time that we're all together. It makes it easier to work together if you have like a little bit of in-person connection. So, yeah.
Totally. So, where did you get your start, Jamison? Like, how did you get, interested in coding?
I did not start programming until my second year of college. So I actually took some time off of school and went to Brazil for a couple of years. And I made a friend there who was like, programming is cool. I enjoyed it. Maybe you would. And I had never done any of it. I played computer games literally growing up, but I wasn't like one of those kids that wrote calculator games in math class instead of listening. And it seems kind of boring. I just like went to school and took a class and liked it. It was interesting being the way behind in school person. Like I went to the intro to computer science class, and most of the people that were in there were the kind of whiz kids that had been doing it their whole lives. So I remember there was this one kid that sat in the front row and just played StarCraft. Just like, I'm playing StarCraft. You can't do anything about it because I already know everything in this class. And that was like the opposite of me. I was so lost, but enjoying it so much. So I went to school for a while, learned it there, and then started working after that.
Love.
That's all. Do you also speak Portuguese?
I used to. I probably speak really bad Portuguese now, but I was fluent at one point.
So you speak enough to get by.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
you could say credit card, I'm sure.
What's that?
So you could probably say credit card, money, where's the bathroom, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I was like completely fluent, but then I came back and didn't really use it ever again. So I just filled my brain with like Netflix instead of Portuguese. You gotta like make room for something else.
So you also went through a path where you went to college, and then I believe you actually started working with that college. Is that right?
Yeah. So that was my first paid gig as a developer. I was a webmaster, and it was a good first job because I wasn't qualified, but colleges often employ people to like help them out a little bit, I guess. So it was kind of like them taking me under their wing. I worked with another student who like actually knew what he was doing and helped me a ton. He's a guy named Dave DeLong. He worked at Apple for a while. I think he works for Snap now. Brilliant programmer, and he was already a brilliant programmer, and I was not. So he would excitedly explain things to me instead of roll his eyes when I asked him like what a computer was. And it was kind of fun too, because I got to see all the professors that were teaching my classes, and it was a different context to interact with them. They're a little bit more chill and relaxed, and I got to know some of those people a little bit. Yeah, so that was a fun way to get started. I mean, I talk to people, especially people that don't go to college for programming, and it feels like that first job getting into the industry is always a miraculous story. It's never a straightforward thing. And
really
one side benefit of going to school for it is there's like a little bit more of a defined pathway, but it always feels like the story of like how someone gets discovered as like a vocal talent or something, right? Like they were walking down the street and they jumped because they saw a cat and someone heard their scream and was like, that could be a rock and roll singer.
Exactly.
Story of Usher and Justin Bieber.
Yeah. Exactly. It feels like
Justin Bieber?
Yeah, I think he did.
Nope. Didn't say that.
Anyway, so you're in California, but are you from California or
No, I grew up in Minnesota, and then Utah was home. Well, I guess it's home now. Yeah, I live in Utah now.
Minnesota, isn't that land of
10,000 lakes?
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
What brought you to Utah then? Did you go there just for the skiing, or is there a job that brought you there?
No, just school. I went out there. I attended BYU for college, and then I kind of like accidentally live there now. I just got a job there after school, and then
accidentally
my whole family moved there, and my wife's family moved there.
Fell right into that house.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, now we live there. It's a good place to live.
Good story. Yeah. Yeah, you have a family. I saw one of your videos where you're like, oh yeah, I want to show off my baby. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. That's all. How many kids you got?
Just one. She's almost 3. She's into My Little Pony, which means that I am like through osmosis into My Little Pony now.
You're a brony now. Gotcha.
I am. Yeah. True.
So cute.
It's funny how when you have a child, you get back into all those cartoons. Like I have a 3.5-year-old, and I'm watching Blazing the Monster Machines,
Sure.
Paw Patrol, all those things. And I slightly kind of dig it, and I slightly make fun of it. So
you're like, oh, now I have to watch these Disney cartoons.
yeah. Oh, I gotta watch cartoons. Oh no.
Oh,
Frozen.
Oh, this is horrible.
And I watch all of them.
Frozen. I cried like 5 times during that movie.
Oh, sad day.
I know.
Speaking
Yeah. Speaking of Frozen,
crying at things.
What?
getting the goofies.
How is that a segue?
It's not. I was trying. I was trying really hard, and it didn't work out that way. So, you have this thing called 5-stack. What is this all about? I really want to know more about it.
Okay, it might be disappointing.
Oh, sad day. Now I'm gonna cry. That's where the
is,
crying segue comes from.
Yeah,
Sad day.
I really want to be 5 burgers on top of each other.
A memorial, yeah. So 5-stack is my consulting company. I took some time away from working full-time for a company and did some consulting, and 5-stack was the company I did that through. So I worked mostly with small startups because that was mostly what I'd done before. And I didn't want to say like, pay me money, but I could say pay my company money, and it felt somehow much more professional.
Is that still a thing?
I don't do it right now. I mean, I guess if someone wanted to pay me money, I could do it. But
you have to work for them, though. I mean,
well, I guess, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not actively consulting right now. I'm full-time employed by Walmart Labs.
Yeah, you're a busy guy, man. You got that. You got obviously your conference that you're putting on. We'll go into that. And
Sure.
you were also doing some podcasts. And are you still doing those podcasts, or do you not have the time now for that?
I do one called Soft Skills Engineering. The other one is called JavaScript Jabber. I'm not on anymore. I was on it for several years, but I just moved on to other things after that. So yeah, I can talk more about any of that stuff if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Where do you want to start?
Well,
Soft skills, please.
Yeah, the soft skills, absolutely.
Okay, the current one. Okay, I have a good friend named Dave Smith, and we like hanging out together. And we were kind of just thinking, like, how could we hang out more together? We were both on JavaScript Jabber as panelists, and we felt like, I don't know if we felt like there was a lack of it, but we felt like there was definitely room for people to talk more about all of the non-technical things in software engineering. There are a ton of really good technical podcasts about frameworks and tools and libraries and things. But that's part of the job. And there's a lot of other things that go into the job, like how do you talk to someone you don't get along with well? How do you find your next job? How do you ask for a raise? How do you deal with like your boss getting laid off and what happens next? So it's kind of a venue for us to talk about all the other stuff and also to just hang out together because we like each other.
It's funny, we were just talking to a gentleman last week, Yihani Ekachuku, and he was talking about how when after school he had the same kind of thing where him and his buddy Romeo wanted to do something together, and they wanted to find some kind of project, and they're like, should we do this? Should we build an app? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, let's do a podcast. And they did a podcast for like 3 years together just for that same kind of reason.
Yeah, it's fun to hang out, and then like by accident, if people like it, they can listen to, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, I'm really interested in that topic that you just discussed. If you don't mind, what was your advice on how to ask for a raise?
Oh, we've talked about that a few times because it comes up a lot.
It's a big question. Yeah, a lot of people want to know about that.
It is. Some of it depends on what kind of company you work for. Some companies have a pretty defined process of like you get raises at this time or based on these factors. So some of it is just kind of know your audience or know your market, I guess. If there's a like defined timeline that they happen in, then that gives you a date to prepare. A big part of it is preparation too, like either figuring out what the market rate is for someone with comparable skills at a comparable company, and then also the preparation of kind of justifying why you're worth it. There's this like hidden motivation behind it that is often like, and if you don't, I'll quit. And I don't know that people always respond super well to that. So you have to figure out how to make it like, I'm worth this, not like pay me this or I'm gone. So some of that is just general good career stuff, like document things you do well, show how you're providing value, show why you're worth giving more money. And then that's often a thing your boss will have to do anyways, if they're not the ones deciding directly if you get a raise or not. So you can make their job easier. There's maybe some packet they have to fill out, or at least some conversation they have to have. So you can kind of give them ammo for that, then it's less work for them and it's easier for them to justify.
You know, I always say it's your own responsibility to communicate your value to a superior, because they have their own things that they're dealing with. They have their own job, right? You know, they have their own responsibilities. They don't might not know what you're doing on a day-to-day. I mean, they have a rough idea, obviously, but they might not know the details. Let me finish my point, Brian, and you could jump in with it's your responsibility to communicate the things you do, because one, you might be more of a technical person than them. Two, they might not know the the details rather that go into something that you might do on a day-to-day as far as your task. So sometimes, depending on your role and your job, Brian, it might depend. Well, I'm not finished with my point. It might, if you like cutting people off, it might depend on you to communicate your own value to your boss. Take your own destiny density, if you will, back to future reference, in your own hands. Go ahead, Brian.
I'm just gonna say on the flip side that as a manager, if you're a manager and listening, and you don't understand the value of your employees, then you're a bad manager. I mean, really.
But let me interject there, Brian. But you're in the trenches. You're a manager of people.
I'm not done.
You're right. I'm interrupting you.
Stop. Let me pause for a second.
Oh, while you're pausing.
No, I mean, I 100% understand that there are certain managers that might not be as connected with their employees, but I would give the advice that if you're a manager and you're not connected with your employees to that level, that's something that you're failing in your job and that you can do better. I'm not saying that what you said was wrong, Frederick. I do think that you need to present your value as well, but managers should recognize that. It should be an easy job. If it's not, then there's something wrong with management, and you just have to do the best you can in your situation.
Let me retort, if that's the correct term. I don't know, but yes, I understand I understand what you're saying to a point, but also you have to remember that there's certain people that are at a certain level in certain situations that are technically above what their superior might be able to comprehend, and they can't appreciate the same thing. Yeah. So I'm just saying that, yes, what you said is correct too, but there's all kinds of situations.
Well, I think right now what we should do is kind of manage our expectations and talk to Jamison about React Rally and managing it and co-organizing it. And
oh my God, let's rally around.
Yeah, let's totally do that. I hear it's the very kind of first conference of its kind, where it's kind of user driven, if that makes sense. So people who are using React, as opposed to hey, we made React and we're gonna make a whole conference about it. It's pretty nifty. And you talked about Elm in React Rally?
Yeah. We did.
Mind blown. Let's talk about it. Let's make some noise.
Cool. I can talk about both of those things. So one is Facebook made their React conference, and React Rally happened a few months after the first year. I think it started from a Twitter thread. I'll have to go look up the thread again, but I'm pretty sure we talked about having the conference before we knew Facebook was doing a conference. So it was just a bunch of people that liked React saying, it'd be cool if there was a conference. Everyone else kind of was yeah, that'd be cool. I'm going to go do my thing. And then there was one other person in the thread, Matt Zabriskie, who's my partner in it. And he was like, yeah, it'd be cool. We both looked at each other and realized we both lived in Utah, about 20 minutes away from each other, and we just started working on it. So the genesis was, we were just really interested in React and thought it would be fun if there was a venue for people to talk about it. We also kind of, I don't know, we like Utah. We think it's a cool place. There's some fun things to do there, and it's not a very well-known conference venue scene, I guess. So part of the idea was it'd be fun if people came to our state and had a good time. You mentioned the community driving it, and that's really a big part of our reasoning behind it. We want it to reflect things that either the community is already interested in or things we think they should be interested in. So there's a little bit of like reflecting current values and interest, and a little bit of kind of trying to nudge them in a certain direction. And that's what the Elm thing was, for sure. Functional programming is a thing I'm very interested in. I think is fun. And I think even if you don't dive all the way into it, it benefits you to learn. And Elm is a really interesting iteration of that. We've had a couple talks about Elm, actually. So we do that in a few different like axes, but talk selection is one of them. We'll pick stuff, not that's just how to do this specific task in React, but something that we think if you watch this talk, we think you'll be a better React developer, even if it's not how to do X in React, kind of. Does that make sense?
Do you mind just quickly just describing Elm in like one sentence for people that might not be aware?
Yeah, sorry, I'm being bad. Elm is a functional programming language in the browser. Its pitch is that you don't have any runtime errors ever. It's got a lot of cool things, but that's kind of one of the main selling points of it. It's a pretty different way of programming from JavaScript. It compiles to JavaScript, but it definitely is not JavaScript.
And this conference was just in August, right?
Yeah, it happens in August. It was just a couple months ago. We're still picking up the pieces a little bit. It's definitely another job that all of my employers have been kind enough to support me in. But it's a lot of work. It's really fun though. I enjoy it.
It's a decent size too. I mean, what you said you had 420 attendees?
That was last year. I think this year we had 580, somewhere around there, almost 600. It felt about as big as we want it. I think if it got bigger, you kind of lose yourself in the crowd a little bit. And part of what we like about it is you could conceivably feel like you met the people you wanted to meet there. If you go to like these giant mega conferences like Java One or AWS reInvent or something, there are thousands and thousands of people there. And to me, it feels overwhelming. It feels like I'm just one tiny little speck in this giant sea. And we want to make it feel like you can go and make friends with people.
Yeah.
I love that.
The size is part of that.
Yeah.
I love that you made that point too in your article about running the conference, how you said you wanted to have some space in between the speakers for people to actually interact, that the how paramount that is for people to actually, you're at a conference, there's a speaker, not just 15 minutes in between each person, but some time for people to reflect and to connect together.
Yeah. I mean, people will take it. If you don't give it, they'll just not come to the talks. So we might as well support it. And I think it makes the talks better if it's better for the speaker, right? If you stand up on a stage and half the seats are empty, you kind of feel motivated a little bit. So having more energy in the audience because they're not sucked out by wanting to talk to all their friends that are there.
Oh, I think we're cutting out.
Am I cutting out?
No, you're fine. Your video is just cutting out. We can hear you.
Oh no!
No, it's fine. You're fine.
I curse you. Okay. Anyways, it's kind of like recognizing what we think people want out of a conference and trying to design the conference around that. It's part of why we have one track too. Like, I don't know. I don't like the feeling of having to pick between all the different sessions that I can attend in a multi-track conference. And as a speaker, I hate feeling like I'm competing against other speakers. Like I have to sell myself harder than the next person. And if I do, I have won and then they have lost. And then I feel good and bad at the same time. Like, so it's kind of about, it's all towards this theme of getting everyone together. Like they're all watching the same talk. They're all having this experience. They all have time to go out in the hall after the talk and hang out and do these fun activities and then go back in energized and ready to listen again.
Yeah, that's always my issue with conferences when they do have the multiple tracks. I went to one where they had like a design, a dev and like a back end track. Those may not have been the names, but I like wanted to go to this one on the design one, but I also wanted to go on this one, the dev one. And they're like, don't they know that a lot of us are generalists?
Yeah, I like all those things. That sounds horrible and great at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
yeah.
hybrid. So what got you into starting like your involvement in React Rally? Like what led to like did you fall into it like Utah?
No, I had done some volunteering at some local conferences before, helping organize. So that was kind of the intro to conferences, and I'd I'd helped out at some meetups and things like that. So I was interested in community things broadly. I think there was also some hubris too of like, I could do a better job than this stuff, and like wanting to see if the ideas I had were any good, I guess.
Now, were you right?
I don't know. The hubris has worn off. So,
what do you think are the biggest challenges? The top 3 challenges, I would say, of running a big conference like this. I mean, even if it's like you say, 580 is a small conference, it's still pretty big. It's more than 100 people, which is like 5 times the size of the average meetup.
Yeah. Oh, so many. I would say time and money are definitely the top 2 challenges. We've talked to several people who organize conferences, and budget can be a huge deal. Like, I don't know how much y'all know about conference organizing and how like contracts with venues and hotels work, but depending on how you do it, you could end up being on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars if you don't sell enough tickets or sell enough hotel room blocks. Like, there's a big financial risk associated with it, and so if you're not confident that you can cover those costs, it's really expensive. And then time, it's just a really big time commitment. I'm not a professional event planner, and so there's a lot of time to figure out how to do stuff. Like, how do you book a venue? How do you get an AV company? How do you get food to 500 people? How do you find someone to design t-shirts for you? Doing it for the first time takes a lot of time, and then it gets less as you go on, but there's a big time commitment at the beginning for sure.
Don't you also have
go ahead.
Don't you also have to pay for these people's hotels, their travel, their dinner, all that stuff that goes along with it?
Yeah, so that cost is dwarfed by the cost of feeding the attendees. The hotel, the way the hotels make money is off of giving you food for lots of money. I haven't looked at like how much it is a plate, but it's on the order of like $50 or $60 a plate for like a normal, not $50 or $60 meal. So it's really expensive to feed people. Travel and hotel for speakers is actually much smaller than that. The biggest expenses is definitely food, but it is an expense. And you'll see some conferences like they don't have the budget to cover speaker travel and hotel. And then that means that the people who come are people who can afford to do it themselves. And then that affects like who can speak at your conference. Like, not everyone who's a good speaker has the money to pay for their flight and hotel to this conference. So it's having money makes everything else easier. And that comes from selling tickets. So we're in the fortunate position where React is kind of at its peak, or I mean, maybe not, but React is very popular, certainly. So we can sell tickets and project like we'll have about this much money, but there are lots of people who spend enormous amounts of time and labor and energy, and then they also lose a huge amount of money, and it's heartbreaking to see. So those are the 2 big hurdles, I'd say.
I like that you actually you give a gift card for lunch, so that you kind of like, hey, go explore, the city and Utah. I like that. That's a nice.
It's a lot of things, but one of it is show off Utah. Another thing is, it turns out again it's way cheaper to just hand people a gift card than it is to provide lunch for them, and it adds to this community feel of like. Someone told me it felt like summer camp. They're coming from San Francisco, and they're like, I just come to Utah, this place I never go, see all these people that I see once a year at this conference, and it's fun.
Aww.
I know, it felt so good.
I love too that you also provide such a nice realm for being able to donate as well, like with your swag. And I think I read that you donated almost close to $5,000 and people being able to purchase alternatively instead of the swag.
Yeah, some of that was we gave an option for people if they didn't. If you go to a lot of conferences, you get a lot of T-shirts, and they're really cool. But some people are like, I have enough T-shirts. It's not really that big of a benefit to me. And so we gave an option for people to not have the swag, and then we donate the money. And then we also just took a portion of ticket revenue and donated that. That number was from last year.
What did you do this year?
I don't know. I should know that. Matt handled that part of it. It was more, but I don't know what exactly it was.
That's awesome. That's great. That's something to absolutely be proud of.
Yeah, I mean, we're not doing it to get rich. So, like, we got to do something with the money, and there are people that need it. So we help out.
That's amazing. I kind of want to, like, I guess, thank, like, all the organizers that we've ever talked to at this point. I guess, like, Dan Denny, the whole unmatched style crew, the event apart people, I mean, yourself. That's amazing that you guys are doing this and trying to provide such a service for us, and as developers, designers, project managers, you name it. That's incredible that you're doing us that service. I appreciate it.
It comes from the heart.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, it's not like completely altruistic. It's I get to bring all my friends in. That's nice. And then there's definitely some amount of ego stroking of like, look at what I've done. Look at all these people. I did that. Rah. And then, I mean, you do meet people and get connections and stuff. So it's certainly not like purely service driven, but it is. There's some of that for sure.
So what you're saying is that when we come to React Rally, we're just going to see all of your friends. For some reason, your family's here.
Actually, the family does come. Yeah, they do.
Really?
Yeah,
that's great.
We, my wife sewed our mascot for some reason. I don't know why, but our mascot is a squid, and my wife made my daughter a squid costume one year, and then she just like got up on stage and showed it off.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's literally the cutest thing ever.
That makes it more. I mean, I think when things like that happen, it's much more personal event, and people recognize that, and we see that in all the conferences we've gone to where we've spoken with the people that have ran it, and they're all it's really intertwined with who they are, from their family's involvement to like just how they communicate with others.
Yeah.
Okay. Shop Talk Show is listening to their Chris Coyer, who gets mentioned probably every couple episodes on the show.
At least once. Yeah.
They were talking about Dan. They actually mentioned Dan Denny in it, Frederick, and how he sends out to the people he's inviting. He sends like, "This is why I think you're a great person to come," and it's like, cool. Yeah, it's like like inviting them and recognizing why, rather than, hey, can you come speak at my talk? Like, I thought it was really an interesting thing. And like, he is one that I know, labor of love, and you clearly, it comes across that as well.
Yeah, we should put a link in the show notes.
I'm gonna steal that idea.
Episode too.
You can steal that idea.
Steal liberally from lots of organizations.
I'll have him message you like a template or something.
Okay.
This is what it right. Here's my Google Doc. Share.
I'm sure
he send it. It'll have his name in it still.
Yeah, right. For this conference too. For the
Yeah,
you know what I thought was interesting, that you wrote this article about how there is some kind of you try to stay away from asking questions or people asking questions to the speaker at the end of a talk. Do you mind if we go into that and the reasons behind that, and maybe some of those experiences that led to that?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. It came from being both a speaker and an attendee. I feel like the proportion of questions that are good for everyone in the audience and the speaker is pretty low often, and I don't know why, but I feel like most times that I am around QA, I just cringe a lot. As an attendee, not even as a speaker. It doesn't really bother me as a speaker. I don't get that nervous about it, but I have seen lots of people get nervous about it as speakers, and I've seen it kind of suck the energy out of the room when people ask questions that are either just things that they're interested in that are very niche and specific that often they take a lot of explanation to get into, and they tell you like kind of all the details about their product and the problem that they're working on. Or there's the famous, like, not a question, more of a comment really, and then they just like give their own conference talk right there. And I don't know. There's
and then the speaker has to be like, all right.
Yeah, and
Good point.
you can tell if they're like feeling a little feisty, they might say like, "Was there a question there?"
Yes.
but if they're not, it's just terrifying, right? You're just being grilled by this rando that you don't even know. I've also seen it affect people that don't look like me more than people that look like me. I feel like there's just some bias that we might have where I feel like female speakers and minorities seem to get more of that. Maybe there's this implicit assumption that they might know. I don't know. I don't want to go too much into why, because I don't know, but I've definitely seen the effects where they seem to get more uncomfortable questions, and that's kind of the opposite of what we're trying to promote with the conference. So we feel like it's a better experience for everyone if the speakers just get to mingle in the hallway track time. Like, they get to choose it explicitly. That's a huge deal. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. If you don't want to stand up on stage and like take questions, then you shouldn't have to as part of speaking, because they're different things. And if you're like, I'm beat because it takes too much energy to give this talk and I need to go recover in my hotel room or whatever, then you can do that. But if someone does have that really specific, detailed question that needs a lot of context, you can just like talk to them about it, and the rest of the conference doesn't have to listen about whatever arcane thing you're talking about if you don't want to. It just seems, it gives the speakers more control, and I feel like erring on the side of like making them more comfortable is a pretty good move to make.
Yeah, that's a good call.
What's that, Janelle?
I love that. I mean, as someone who's like spoken at like a couple conferences, like that like means a lot for sure. Because it's terrifying to like give a talk, right? Like, especially like if it's your first time, right? Like if you give your very first talk ever, like at a cool conference like React Rally, and then like there's people asking you questions that you're like, look, honestly, like I don't know. Right now I'm having a mild panic attack. I don't know. Like, maybe like take several seats.
Yeah. Well, like, and even if you prepare, you give a really awesome talk, there's a defined context that you have practiced and you know really well. And then it's like, okay, ask me literally anything in the universe besides that. Like, bring it on. I'm ready.
Just so you know, if you ever had the pleasure of seeing Janelle speak at a conference, you'll know that she's like cool and you would never think she'd be nervous. She's perfect on.
Yeah, she walks among
live.
So.
I'm like, hi.
No, you're not. You might think that in your head, but you come off amazingly.
Oh, you guys are so sweet. They're so nice to me. Oh, sad
Just
day.
Sad day that we're being nice to you? What?
No, my computer was like, good night. And I was like, no.
You know, James,
nice things.
Things that you have in common with Janelle, besides speaking at conferences, is you're both bikers.
What do you ride?
I ride a Honda Shadow.
Ooh.
Yeah, cool. 650. What do you ride?
I ride, it's a BMW R1100S. It's a 2001. I don't know. It's pretty old. It's red, so it looks like it goes really fast, but it goes medium fast only.
Is it like this red, or is it like sports car red?
It's like sports car red. Yeah.
Dang. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you can tell. I'm not cool, right? Like, I'm not like a cool dude.
What?
The motors.
What are you talking about? We thought you were the coolest.
There's so many issues that we could talk about here.
It was like cool, and then I don't know. but the motorcycle is like my attempt at pretending to be cool, right? Like I drive by someone and they don't know that I'm a big old nerd. They're just like, red, cool, you know?
Red motorcycle guy. That guy's cool.
Yeah, that guy.
Come to my party.
Cool.
Jamison,
Yeah.
what is your motorcycle wave? Because you know how like when you pass by another motorcyclist, you give them the wave,
Yeah,
right?
the wave. Yeah.
What is yours? Because every motorcyclist has a different one.
I usually I got to stand up to do it. So they're coming this way, right? You have your hand on the throttle, and I take this hand off, and I go down like this with two fingers, like that.
Oh,
That's from my uncle, who's like way into motorcycles, and he said that's the wave you do because it means like stay safe, keep two wheels on the road. It's like this little club, and
yeah.
Harley riders never wave back. They do not respect. They do not respect my BMW.
What about you, Janelle? Let's see your wave. What is it?
Oh, mine's exactly the same. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, it really, really is. Yeah, it really, really is. But it's like outwards instead of inwards.
Okay.
So mine goes out.
That's not exactly the same.
It goes like this. It's literally like it's almost like very like you know like the cute little selfies that little girls do. It's like that, but like over
That's
here.
cool.
The selfies that Brian does? Yeah.
There's
Speaking of Brian, hey, Brian.
Hey.
Brian.
What do you have, like a bright colored helmet or something like that?
Mine is actually silver. And then my bike is this color.
Okay.
But I do have like a yellow vest. That's
Okay.
like very like, hello, I am a vest.
There's a woman that lives close by me. I don't know like where. I just know I see her ride by a lot. But she has this like hot pink helmet, and it's rad.
Stop! I need one.
Yeah, I never noticed the wave before I started riding motorcycles, and now it's like being part of the secret club. It's fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it's rad.
I've never seen. I guess because I see
Because we don't
mostly
wave at you in your
Well,
car.
no, I see a
In
lot
your
of Harley.
cages.
I see a lot of no. I mean, I get it. Like I would ride a motorcycle if I didn't have to go over the Skyway every day.
Yeah.
Possibly because I sold my car when I was in Gainesville. I biked everywhere and pedaled bike.
Yeah.
But I did have like a Honda scooter type thing, which was low CC. It was fun. I would definitely probably enjoy doing that because I hate being enclosed in a car and feel boxed in.
Yeah, man.
Sure.
Wonderful.
But
Rain too feels amazing. So how, especially when there's like spotlights coming your way, it's like a
shining on me. Wait,
yeah.
I feel like that could be a segue for something. Maybe some question. Something. So we're getting towards the end, so we have a few last questions for you. Mine is I call a spotlight. It's basically something kind of shine a little bit more on each of us. It's a group question.
Okay.
So mine this week is, what's an activity that's a family activity, either when you're younger or now that you go and do that, like you just really enjoy, and that every time you get to do it, you're like, yeah, I'm super excited. So I'm gonna go first, and then it'll be dibs next. Frederick or Janelle, you go last. Mine is hiking. Always hiking. I love hiking. Tuluá Falls, Northern Georgia. I highly recommend it to anyone. It's beautiful. There's waterfalls. It's just, especially in the fall, it's really amazing to hike up there. A lot of little trails and everything. So that's mine. Whoever wants to take it next.
Janelle.
The thing that you do with your family, like when you guys see each other.
It can be you and your boyfriend. It could be you and your child. Anything as far as an activity.
Oh, okay. Well, we're really good at my immediate family is really good at not dancing. We're very, very great at it. So when we go to like bigger, larger like family functions, we get invited to dance all the time, and we don't dance. So it's pretty great. So we're like doing this while everyone's actually doing like bachata dancing and salsa. So it's a fun pastime I like. Doing this.
I like that. Wait, do that again. Let me see it.
That's called something. What's that called?
It's like the sprinkler?
Right?
Yeah.
Sprinkler, yeah. Janelle did the sprinkler on the video, guys.
You mean this very specific? It's like this song is for a specific style of dance, and you're like
Yes.
doing the lawnmower instead.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
like checking.
What's the
get
lawnmower?
things off of the high shelf.
It's
Put it in
where
the car.
you like
Lawnmower.
go down and pull it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm familiar with the art of not dancing.
Yeah. Best.
That's awesome. Frederick?
Oh, yeah, me. So I really enjoy going with the family to go get ice cream. My son loves getting some soft serve ice cream with some rainbow sprinkles, and that's like his favorite thing in the world is ice cream right now. Like I said, I have a 3-year-old, so
Sure, your son. Yeah.
I really enjoy that. I love the soft serve ice cream too, but yeah, that gets me right there. I enjoy that. All right, Jamison, it's you.
Is it with family specifically, or just anything?
Any activity that
Okay.
I mean, if you want just be yourself, your
Sure.
sole activity.
I really like lifting weights. I do like amateur powerlifting, I guess, in my garage. I don't compete or anything, but I have a little setup in there, and it's my time to not use my brain because much of my life is just like sitting down and thinking really hard. And then it's fun to just kind of be a caveman for a little bit and not think and just like pick heavy stuff up and then put it back down. My daughter actually does it with me too. She'll like pick up a stick and like fling it around a little bit. So
Nice.
Isn't that the
Got it,
best?
buddy.
My son was doing kung fu with me the other day at the park.
okay. Cool.
So cute.
Yeah.
Stop. Y'all are adorable.
That's true. What's your pre-workout drink?
Usually nothing because I'm a caffeine lightweight. If I take pre-workout, then I just like vibrate. Like I don't drink coffee. I don't know. I just wake up and then go work out.
I was doing
Sometimes I take-
GNC's Insanity for a while. That was pretty good.
It
They all
should be
have-
water. Water is the answer.
They all have names like that. It's like
Yeah.
C4, Insanity. Like
I
don't wanna-
I should make my own brand.
Punch a tank.
It's
Yeah.
just, I should just call it like that. Insanity pre-workout beverage water.
Punch Bomb. Like
Punch
yeah,
Bomb,
they're all
yeah.
really
Oh, ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Rhino horn. Janelle, I think you have a super secret question.
Yes. Alrighty. So usually right about this time we do lightning questions. So we essentially do like a lightning round. But I figured maybe this one time we don't do a lightning round. There's not a name for it. This is just super fun for funsies.
Super
I
fun,
do-
happy time.
Yeah, it's just super fun, happy time. Yeah. I actually wanted to know, like a pretty cool question. I think if you could explain to us, almost like we're 5, something that is not necessarily technically related at all, just something that you absolutely adore, but might not be, I guess, kind of like something that a lot of people know about, and just kind of explain how to do it.
And it's like one of those questions from the audience to the speaker of the conference.
Yeah. Okay. Something I really like.
Yeah, like
Just
powerlifting.
the
for
thing I'm
example.
into. Okay.
Yeah, like, explain to us like maybe like how to do a deadlift or something like that.
Oh man, I'm not like a visual thinker, so I'm actually really bad at explaining stuff like that. Can I explain a different thing instead?
Yes,
Anything.
absolutely.
Okay.
You can. Anything.
For too much of my life, I played a video game called Dota 2. I don't know, like 3,000 hours on it in Steam or something, and an outrageous amount of time. And I explain to you the game of Dota 2.
Okay.
So Dota 2, it's a 5-on-5 online multiplayer game. It's like RTS games like StarCraft or Warcraft, or you like control an army and click around with your mouse. It's like that, but you only have one character that you control, and you're on this team trying to defeat the other team by knocking down the building on their side of the map. You have a building on your side of the map, and it's basically an internet bullying simulator because this is why I don't play it anymore. It's 4 random people with you, and one person messing up like ruins the game for you, and it be like half an hour to 45 minutes to play a game. So it's this really weird incentive to just like be a horrible person to other people and yell at them to not screw up. It makes people bad. I'm convinced. So don't play it. But there's something about like when it goes well, it's like the best experience in the world because it's like you go up on the internet with 4 randos and you probably don't speak the same language, and like one of them's probably 12 and one of them lives in, I don't know, some away country, has high ping, so there's a ton of lag or something. You can just like put this plan together about how to defeat this other group of randos, and then watch as it all crumbles and then get yelled at in different languages. Go to 2. Don't try it.
This is the best ad for a thing ever. I love it.
It's kind of an anti-ad, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, hey, we're at the end of the show. I just want to know if you have any kind of final words of wisdom or anything that you'd like to tell our audience, anything that you would like to communicate as far as inspiration or just some words that you'd like to didn't get a chance to speak.
Yeah. I'm a dummy, and if I can do it, so can you. I'm not dummies.
Stop right now with your whole face. No.
No, I don't know. There's nothing. I don't know. I think the underlying thing is, yeah, you can do it. You can do the thing that's hard for you. You'll figure it out. That's my words of inspiration.
And how do people figure that out? Is it just, and how did you figure out? Like you said, you're a dummy, but obviously you're not. Like, is that just about being passionate about something, or is it about just being able to strive and do the hard work?
I have accepted the fact that some things come harder than others for me, and that I like. Again, I'm not like the kid who programmed calculator games, right? Like I didn't grow up with this stuff, so I ask them questions a lot, and being like not caring as much about not appearing to know a thing has helped me a lot, because I find more stuff out than if I pretend like I know a thing and hide and cower. So ask what a computer is. If someone says like a word that you don't understand a bunch over and over again, just ask about that thing.
Nice. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Is this what you're looking for? I'm just kind
of absolutely. No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice. Appreciate that. So what's the best way that people could get a hold of you? Obviously, we'll put a bunch of links in the show notes, sure. But how do you want people to get a hold of you? Where do you want them to go?
Twitter. I check Twitter more than healthy, probably. I'm on there all the time. I'm Jergason on Twitter, Jergason. I have a blog that I don't really post on that often. It's Jamison.dance. My last name is a top-level domain, so that's cool.
Yeah, good win
first
there.
Dot last name. Yeah, my parents planned ahead. And
one day this will be a TLD.
Yeah. Yeah. What else? I mean, yeah, Soft Skills Engineering is the podcast that I do now, so check that out if you're interested. If you like React things, then check out React Rally. I'm also helping out a little bit with React Conf, which is Facebook's conference that's coming up in October. So if you're going to that, come say hi. It's kind of my presence on the internet. That's all the internet things I do.
Nice. Anybody else got any final questions?
Leave us a review.
Please.
Go to thundernerds.io/review. Boom. Well, hey, Jamison, thank you so much for being on the show. Super appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed
this. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Since you're busy with work, yeah. Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for watching. Please go to Thunder Nerds, write us a review. Really appreciate it. Sincerely, thank you. Toodles and noodles.